Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is episode 31 of Perhaps, and it's been a while. It's been around 3 months since the last episode, and I titled this episode Look Who Remembered Their Password, because it kind of feels like that. When you see someone on their account be gone for a while, and they'll be like, oh, I forgot my password, now I remember. But I'm just playing. It's been a while for a few reasons, but to talk a little bit about that, what's been going on lately, and I want to give y'all some encouragement. So I got 3 encouragements that I want to give y'all in this difficult time in the world, but this is kind of a comeback episode, getting back into the flow of things. Before I sat down for this, I wasn't sure if I wanted to record, which has been like the last few weeks. It was like I almost recorded and then didn't. And this time I'm like, don't overthink it, just start. And here we are. So here we are. But yeah, let's see here. December was kind of a weird month of mental anguish. It's kind of up and down of things, and yeah, it was just hard to put myself out there and do anything. And I want to talk in a bit about what's been harder about being online, being a person who makes stuff online and puts myself out there in public, because things have changed and things have gotten harder. But before that, January, I thought I was ready to go and actually recorded an episode. It was, what do you call it? Unreleased, canceled episode. The real / fake episode 31, which was doing like an overview of a bit of 2025 and talking a bit about 2026. And as I was watching it again to edit it and put it up, I was like, I don't like this. It was just me like complaining about what I'm feeling. It was just me like venting and complaining, and I felt like I wasn't actually saying anything interesting. And I'm like, I don't want to put this out there. And it was whatever. And so I didn't put it out. And then also in December and January, I lost a gig that I was doing to get a little bit of income writing for this thing that shut down. And then I got another gig working just gig work. And a lot of my time ended up going to that. So if you want me to like really devote more time to this stuff, check out the Patreon. Support the Patreon. Support everything we're doing here on patreon.com/Damon Garcia. And so, yeah. So it's a lot of my time and focus has been going to other work things. And then now we're in February, my birthday month. My birthday is later this month, the 24th. Now we're in February, and we're getting close to the release of my book, which comes out June 23rd, 2026, this year. It's called You Don't Need a Calling, an anti-capitalist manifesto for a life of purpose. And we got to start telling people about it. We got to start telling people to pre-order it. Literally anywhere you can pre-order books, you can find my book and pre-order it. Whatever website online or your local bookstore, you can hit them up and you can tell them months before the book comes out. You could tell them pre-order it for you, and then you can go get it there or have it delivered, however they do it at that store. But if you just want to buy it online and hope that you sort of support some sort of independent bookstore, bookshop.org gives part of the money that they make to independent bookstores. So that's a good place to shop as well. But literally anywhere. And none of these sites help me more than the other. I still get the same little royalty percentage. And so you got to pre-order that thing. It comes out in June. And oh yeah, I was going to say, as that's coming up, I'm feeling like Oh yeah, I should start posting stuff again to remind y'all to go get that. And the other thing about related to that book is I feel like one of the reasons is that it's been hard is, and why December was really hard for me, is because writing that book, I felt like took so much out of me and through me and into me, everything that happened within me, I feel like it changed me in a lot of ways, and it changed a lot of how I approach things and my motivation. Certain more ego-centered motivation has dwindled, and now I've been finding other sources of motivation. And when I say ego-centered motivation, is because there's this energy that I think any creative person has, anyone who makes things or puts themselves out there, this motivation that's about, I want people to hear what I have to say so that they can see me as good, so that I can earn a community of people who see me as good. I think there's that kind of toxic energy for every creative. And then there's also the more humble, noble energy of like, I think what I have to say can help people. Let me help people in anywhere I can, contribute however I can until the day I die. And that's a good life. And so because some of that ego-centered motivation has dwindled down, like I said, I've had to pull from the other sources of motivation. And so and that this all goes back to what the book is about. The book touches on those different drives within us as we're trying to figure out, what am I doing here on this earth with my short life? What is my purpose? What is my calling? What is the meaning of all this? What's the point to life? We get deep into all those questions, and we get deep by going deep into my own personal story and the way that I've wrestled with those questions, and how at a certain point in my life, all those questions were a huge burden to me and made it hard to do anything, and how I've learned to hold them all a lot more loosely through a spiritual evolution and a political evolution and a personal evolution, learning to hold those things loosely and live in the present. And that includes God being in the present with us along for the ride, and being able to have a wider view of purpose and calling and a deeper view. And that's pretty much what that book is about. Oh yeah, but it also goes deep in terms of like a larger view of the world, not just my own personal stories, but how we can all find a collective purpose together where we are all free to hold these things loosely. And so it's a really good book. I think y'all will really like it, and I'm really proud of it. And I learned the lessons of the book by writing the book in a way. It's like it did a work on me. I was like, I'm putting everything I've learned about these topics throughout my life, and then also learning more as I write it out. And yeah, all that to say, there's different ways that I'm still noticing that I've changed working on that book over the last couple of years, and kind of reorienting myself in interesting ways. Also, before I get to some of those encouragements, I wanted to say, and this part, I ended up going like way longer on that unreleased episode, just ranting about this, but it'll be the way shorter version for this episode. I've been having kind of this aversion to all of these platforms, podcast, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all these social media platforms where you post stuff for people to watch and read. And it's because of the ways that the algorithm has changed, kind of the TikTokification of everything, where you have the For You page, not the people you're following, not the people you went to their page and clicked follow because you wanted to see more of their posts, But the For You page, which is just stranger after stranger, scrolling stranger of this robotic algorithm showing you things that they think you would like based on user behavior of the other things that you clicked on and watched before. And now all of these social media platforms have copied that, because it's been shown to keep people on the platform scrolling for longer, which means you could show them more ads. So that's why they've all copied it. And now we're at a place where if I post something that does pretty well, like good enough for people to like it and engage with it, then what the algorithm does is it shows more strangers before it even shows most of my followers. And the more strangers that it shows, the more it attracts trolls, haters, critics who are just bullies, just scrolling. This is dumb, scrolling. This is lame, scrolling. You're wrong, scrolling, and just never to engage again. But some of these are like paragraphs, actually, not just quick hate, but just paragraphs of just mind-numbing commentary where like they clearly have no idea what I'm talking about, but they have so much to say, and it's rooted in their own projections of their own fears and insecurities that have nothing to do with me. And if you make something that does well, the algorithm shows it to more strangers and it attracts more of that. And I'm not built to read all that. It's just discouraging. Just garbage from people who aren't following me, like just randoms. And the alternative, if it's not good enough for the algorithm to push out to strangers, then it won't even push it to your followers either. So the alternative is barely anybody sees it. And then it just feels like, okay, why did I put all that effort into this thing for nobody to see it? And what's funny is this podcast from the beginning, I've kind of been intentional to have like kind of mediocre titles and thumbnails for the YouTube version of this, because I'm not really interested in more and more people looking at this thing from out of nowhere. It's like I want the people who are looking for this to hear or watch this. But when it comes to like other, like my main YouTube channel, which is just called Damon Garcia, or my Instagram page, I've had a few little videos go somewhat viral. It's just garbage comments. A lot of good comments, awesome comments, cool new people joining along, being like, oh, this resonates with me. This is cool. And that's awesome to read. But now, I mean, as always, that inevitably comes with also hate comments, but the ways that the algorithms have evolved now, it's just more and more of the hate and trolls and cyberbullying and all that all together. So basically, it's like if you want to do this stuff these days, you just got to accept that that's just what comes with it. And it kind of sucks. And so how I plan on approaching it, I could just say, screw it. I don't want to deal with this stuff anymore. But I mean, yeah, I've reasons for that. I have reasons to just say, screw all this. I'm not going to put myself out there anymore. But I also have a longer, deeper list of reasons to stick around and to keep showing up despite that nonsense. And that's what I want to do. I think it's worth it for the people, for those of us who are sticking around. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you listening to this episode are people who appreciate this, along for the ride, and people that I appreciate being around. And so I'm doing it for y'all. And I especially think of like, as this book comes out, I think this second book, because I put out a book in 2022 called The God Who Riots, Taking Back the Radical Jesus. And I think this book I intentionally made a lot more accessible, a lot more. I wanted it to resonate with a lot bigger, wider, broader. I think broader is the actual word. Broader of an audience. Not just people who like Jesus, People, and it's a broader topic. People are thinking about purpose and meaning. And there's Jesus stuff in there. But the Jesus stuff is in there because it's part of me. Not because it's like a Jesus book, like the first one. But in thinking about that too, I keep thinking about, I think there's a lot of people that will really resonate with that book and will resonate with what we're trying to do here on this podcast, on the YouTube channel, all that fun stuff. Trying to get people to have a bigger and more radical imagination and hope to build a different kind of world. Those people make it worth it, sticking around and continuing to show up. And so that's what we're going to do. And for the rest of this episode, I just have these 3 encouraging things that I want to bring to y'all instead of just continuing to complain about the algorithm and stuff like that. Well, first of all, let me say, a lot has been happening since I last hopped on this podcast. A big one, the ICE raids and mass deportations have continued and have gotten more and more and more dangerous, violent, and raging with the killing of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. And you have a lot of people waking up and realizing how messed up all of this is, and realizing that there's a violence that we're all just accepting as part of the norm of society. There's the violence on the surface of the killings that ICE is doing. There's also the violence of the deportations. And then there's underneath that, when you start to really think about this and talk about this and experience it, there's the violence of ICE existing in the first place. And underneath that, there's the violence, there's the state violence that has existed since the beginning of the United States. That has been normalized again and again through the police force, through our military, before that, through slave patrols, through colonization, genocide here, not just in other countries. And you have a lot of people waking up to this long stream of violence that has led up to the violence we're seeing today. I think, for the most part, that's really exciting and good to see so many people waking up. We're also seeing people kind of frustrated, saying, "Where were you before? Why are you only caring now? We've been talking about this." And yeah, I get that. Sure, make that post, shout that out from the rooftops. You could vent that. But also, more and more people are waking up. More and more people are choosing to not just become a doomer, take the black pill, and just be hopeless. More and more people are choosing instead to let all of this radicalize them. And that should be encouraged. And we're going to continue seeing more of that. And as I'm growing up and seeing the evolution of things, the pendulum swing of things, these moments where people are radicalized and then demoralized and feel like they lose so much hope, and isolate themselves and divide themselves. And then again, something happens that radicalizes them again, and then just back and forth, back and forth. This continues, but is all part of the process of revolution that leads to all of our liberation. This isn't just a forever back and forth, and this is just how the world is. This is just how society is. No. And let's lead into that. The first point of encouragement I wanted to say was the world was made this way, so that means we can change it. Capitalism hasn't always existed. Capitalism is only a few hundred years old. White supremacy hasn't always existed. Colonization, at least the kind of colonization that's in power right now, but even colonization in general hasn't always existed. It's not just a normal part of, it's not a natural, organic part of reality. It was made this way. We could point you to the points in history where different systems were built by who, for what purpose, and a reaction to what, and show you the world wasn't always like this. ICE didn't always exist either. ICE is, 22 years old? What is that? 24? Something like that? I'm not good at math. A lot younger than me, that's all I know. Well, maybe not a lot younger, but younger than me. I'm pretty sure most of you listening to this are probably also older than ICE. Police force didn't always exist. A lot of these forms of state violence didn't always exist, and yet they try to tell us, no, this is just how it is. This is just how the world works. It's just what you have to grow up and accept. But no. It was made this way by other people, which means that we can decide to live differently and come together and fight for a different world. And build a different world, build new systems, just like humans have done again and again and again, system after system after system, structure after structure, order after order. We just keep doing it. And I think a lot of people are waking up to that, realizing like, oh yeah, the world doesn't have to be this way. It can change. And the other piece of encouragement I wanted to say, as people are seeing a lot of these scandals of violence and exposing of all of this corruption and injustice, people can talk about it like, oh yeah, it's just, there's always, if it's not one thing, it's another thing. There's always just scandal after scandal. You turn on the news, there's always something, and then people will forget about it, and then there's something else. As if it's all just random noise that you just got to get used to. But I think what a lot of people are waking up to, and what a lot of people are trying to scream for many years and their whole life trying to get people to understand, is that it's all connected. The tactics that ICE are using against people in the United States are tactics that were formed and perfected by IDF soldiers in Israel's genocide of Palestinians. Some of the tools that they use, such as like AI tracking tools built by Palantir, were built and perfected in Israel to be used later over here, not just by ICE, but also by police for what they call pre-crime, preventive policing, tracking people to try to stop crime before it happens in a very dystopian way of just continually building a stronger surveillance state against all of us. And like I said before, like there's a longer stream of violence that all of this violence is rooted in at the same time. It's not just about let's get some policies in there to reform ICE or the DHS, or let's get some policies to reform the police force so they're a little less violent. No, it's a longer stream of violence of the powerful keeping all of us normal working class people under control, keeping us from doing anything to change the world. It's all connected. Epstein, another thing that a lot of people are talking about right now, the Epstein files, the capitalism, and the way that the constant deregulation through neoliberalism that has freed up these billionaires to become richer and richer and more powerful and build these blackmail systems to control each other. And that whole system that Epstein was a part of, because he wasn't just a lone predator. He was part of this whole blackmail and predatory, abusive, perverted, monstrous system of people. That is all connected to the way that the economic order benefits the capital-owning class and continues to suppress the working class, which is what, a lot of the critiques of capitalism are trying to expose people to, showing them how this system works so that they can wake up to it and change it, instead of just saying, oh, well, this is just how it's always been. All of these things are connected. And I'm not just being that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme where Charlie is pointing at the wall with all those strings connected like a classic archetype of a conspiracy theorist. Part of that point that everything is connected is to realize that so are we. We are also all connected. The reason so many conspiracy theorists suck is because they start to notice these connections and then they just blame some marginalized group. They just blame immigrants as they notice all of these connections of injustice and corruption, or they blame Jewish people. It's so depressing to see so many people waking up to these injustices and corruption and then just be anti-Semitic. Like, you were close, you were so close. Or just point to some invisible behind the scenes group of Satan worshipers and say it's them, or aliens, or just some invisible hidden group, instead of the visible, obvious group of capitalists who are all happy that we're blaming marginalized people or secret, hidden, invisible groups that don't exist. The truth is, we are all connected with immigrants, Jewish people, Black people, people of color, white people, all of them. Almost forgot that one. We're all connected. And when we see, instead of blaming our powerless neighbor, who's just as powerless as we are, or maybe just powerless to a varying degree, we can actually connect to each other and find our common needs, our common interests, and be in community together, and find a way that we could build a world where we're all free, instead of just finding the scapegoat and getting rid of them. No, this requires a whole systemic change, not just a quick fight. And that leads me to the third encouragement that I wanted to give y'all, which is kind of the point to my upcoming book, You Don't Need a Calling. I just wanted to say, you don't need a calling. You just need community. And that kind of that could potentially be the subtitle to my book if it weren't for the other subtitle that I like better, which is an anti-capitalist manifesto for a life of purpose. I feel like that gives you more of a tease for what's in the book. But it could just be called, You Don't Need a Calling, You Just Need Community. And what I mean by that, first off, when I say calling, because there's, of course, plenty of ways of holding the idea of calling. I'm not saying I reject every single version of that. But specifically, the version of calling I'm rejecting is one that says that you must become someone else, like some better version of yourself, some ideal version of yourself, in order to be worthy, in order to make your existence worth living out. You need to become some bigger, better version of yourself. And instead, I'm saying you already are worthy. And when you can live from that knowledge and that awareness, you can find all these small, simple callings all around you that you can follow in the present moment, instead of being burdened by some high and holy calling that makes you feel constantly inadequate. And of course, there's other versions of calling that can encourage you, empower you, motivate you. It isn't just some burden that pressures you all the time. But I think a lot of people, when they think of like, oh my God, what's my calling? What's my purpose? What am I here for? It usually is that very burdensome version of calling that we need to just get rid of. And how you actually find purpose is by being in community. Like, you think of ancient humans, they would never ask the question of like, what am I called to do? What is my purpose? What is the job that I'm meant to have, that I'm meant for? There was no assessment that they took, answered questions to figure out what career would be best for them. It was just all rooted in life and community. It was all based on the question of, what does my community need today? How can I help? How can I contribute? And what ways can I contribute that others can't contribute? Or what are ways that I can help others contribute? Day by day by day by day. And today, in the midst of all these questions about our purpose and calling and what we can do and how we can shape the world, it starts with being in community with others and seeing where you can contribute. It doesn't need to be some big, large, heroic martyrdom or big action that saves the day. No, that's Western colonial individualist thinking. Get rid of that. It's just small contribution after contribution after contribution. That's your life. And you can only see ways that you can contribute by being in community. And that doesn't have to be some fancy, big, capital C community. Welcome to the such and such community. I found it. It also doesn't have to be like a spiritual thing either. You just start with you and your friends, you and your family, you and a couple others, you and your neighbor, you and some other people, getting together, sharing life together, finding your common interests and needs, and seeing ways that you can help each other. And it grows from there. And you can find multiple communities, like people at your work and people at your church and people in your neighborhood and the organization you're a part of. And those communities come together. And as those communities come together and help each other, you start to form a network of communities. And then as these networks of communities start to come together and find ways to help each other and contribute together, you start to build a movement. And a movement can change the world. We got to stop thinking about how can I personally change the world and think about how can I contribute to a community and do my part as part of a community. And then how can this community collab with other communities, and how can we form a network, and how can the larger collection of all these communities change the world, save the world, build a new world. It has to all be collectively. I think when we can start to view life like that and view our purpose and our calling like that, first off, it's way more fulfilling. Not just because it's more people are involved, but also you realize that you're meant to be interdependent with other people. You're meant to be in community with you. Like, you aren't you unless you're with other people. That's just the type of creatures we are. But also you realize there's so much more we can do together. And my purpose and my life begins in community. It's not about finding some great thing that I could get really good at and do good at and show the world how good I am. And then I earn a community. I earn people coming around me and congratulating me and welcoming me into their community and finding belonging because of how good and cool I am. No, that's the type of path of a life journey that so many people are selling you these days. Is that you need to figure out on your own what makes you great, and then you will earn people coming around you and praising you and welcoming you. Yeah, get rid of all that. It starts with community, actually. And so, during this time in this world, as people are waking up and becoming more and more radicalized, I think we also need to include the conversation of how we continue to build communities. And right now, community will be more and more important than ever. And so I'm excited that I get to be part of this world and this age, 2026. I'm glad I'm a part of it. I don't wish I was born in some earlier age where it was easier or cooler or whatever. Nah, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be with y'all. That I get to experience this life with everyone else that's alive right now and everyone listening or watching this. And I'm excited I get to put out stuff, podcasts and videos and books that help other people find community. Like, I'm really, really, really proud of that. I appreciate you all being here, a part of that. And that, my friends, is episode 31. So I hope you enjoyed it. This one we're posting, okay? Don't worry. You didn't miss anything with that other recorded episode that I decided not to post. It was nothing. This one's way better, I promise. We'll be back. I'm going to try not to overthink so much. We'll be back. We're going to keep posting. And I appreciate you all. And I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye.